A very good morning to all our viewers out there, and you're welcome to our breakfast show where we just talk nothing but community, and we would love to have your input even as we dive into the depth of this breakfast show today on the 23rd of May 2022. We've actually prepared a lot of issues to be unpacked. To start with the issue of high blood pressure on the health segment with Dr. Mainga Nalube, and also getting forward to the youth participation in community development with some stakeholders who will be joining us here on Breakfast Show, and also the issue at hand for the main interview will be coming from Mr. Loveday Mwene to discuss the issue of streetism, if it can really be phased out completely in Zambia. And we'd love to get your comment on that, and pretty much your questions to be answered by our guests that we'll be having this morning. I'm not alone in the studio as usual. I'm with my co-host, Madam Zipporah Mshara. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Alex. How
no, you're looking at me. It's a Monday, and a beautiful Monday. Always,
beautiful Monday, but there's this staff name here. So we're going to be joined by Mr. Nature Ntiakakuya, who's the Industrious Organization Director at 7:30 to just help us discuss the youth participation in community development. And at 8 hours, we're going to be joined by the Tuafwane Child Protection and Rehabilitation NGO. And so that's Mr. Loveday Mwene, the Secretary General, and Mr. Dennis Tsiakapwale, who's the Public Relations Officer for the same organization. So a week ago, we saw the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services coming forward saying they're planning to phase out streetism, that is street kids or street children, permanently. And so there have been different views from some stakeholders saying the current approach being taken will not result in any fruit because we've seen similar operations in the past. And so now this organization that deals with street kids on the ground is coming to help us understand really what needs to be done if we actually deal with the problem of streetism permanently. Indeed.
Last week, Zipporah, was quite an eventful kind of a week, and we did compile a few stories, especially the last bulletin. We'll be doing the zooming headlines, and we saw some land wrangles which are continuing in our communities. They are implicating some councillors and everything. So we'll be getting to dive into our zooming headlines as part of what we do on this platform. But before we just do that, let's just take a short break in form of an exercise that would love you to actually take part as a form of just keeping fit, as a recommendation by health experts. And you'll be having the morning boost by Mr. Isaac Machsa. Here's for you.
Good morning and welcome to our morning boost, and remember always to try do this at home early in the morning before you start your day. This is not the main workout, but this is just to help you get started your day and keep fit. So therefore, let's go. We're gonna keep it easy today. We'll make some aerobics movements. Aerobics is good for you, for blood circulation, to control your blood pressure, and also to make sure that you stay fit. So we're going to make some basic moves in aerobics. Let's go. Very easy. We start with marching. Go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to our show. Let's go. Step touch. Last one. Hamstring. Last one. Knee high. Last one. Lateral legs. Last one. We're gonna put now all the 4 together. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, let's go. Last one. And knee high. Last one. Stiff touch. Last one. Step touch. Last one. Knee high. And marching. Keep marching, keep marching, keep marching. We're gonna change now. 2 knee each. Let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's keep pushing. I know you feel like giving up. Check with your neighbor how many minutes you've done. Let's go. Go. 2 each. Now let's do it faster. Change. 1, 2. 4. 4 each. Last 4. 2 each. 2. 2. 2. 3 each. Go. And marching. Go. How are you feeling on your legs? Let's go now. March, 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 march. Keep marching. We're almost there. Let's go. March, 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 march. My producer is dancing behind the camera. I wish I can show you. Let's march. Let's go. Bring in a B step now. It was a pleasure doing a workout with you this morning. I look forward to another workout with you. Make sure stay fit and enjoy the rest of your day. This is Isaac Matsa, and guess what? I'm signing out. Thank you.
Perfect exercise over there. I hope you are following that exercise from Mr. Isaac Matsa, who's been very consistent, giving us some keeping fit exercise. How was it for you, Zipporah?
It was really, really good. I enjoyed my exercise. I hope you did too.
Did you just enjoy your exercise?
I did enjoy my exercise, Alex. Yeah, it was definitely okay. Today we were already woken up, isn't it? From the initial start, we were not sleepy as you.
I don't know. This year's cold season is not as
cold. I don't know if it's just Lusaka, because other places like we have been hearing that it's really cold.
Oh yeah.
But Lusaka, you find that it's warm, isn't it? It's not hot, it's not cold,
yes.
It's warm.
Especially when you get towards 10th hour, 12, midday, you find that it's as normal as not. Maybe when you get into June, I don't know how things will be. But for now, really, I don't feel that kind of.
It's not cold here. It's fine. Well, the weather is actually good, isn't it? It's not hot, it's not.
But you're putting on a jacket.
Yeah, just for the sake of I can remove it after the show. Just. It's not hot, it's not cold, it's good weather actually.
Yeah, we hear from people and they're commenting if it's cold or not. Yeah, so moving on to our health segment, which is actually up for grabs. You can come through our offices and get to, get this part of the breakfast show where you can sponsor the segment where we just talk nothing but health. And we'll be joined in the studio by Dr. Mainga Nalube, who's going to help us discuss the high blood pressure, to define it and also look into the risk factors concerning the same. Let's just take a short break and join in by the doc.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Mainga Nalube. I'm with the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. Welcome to Health Corner. So this week we'll be discussing a very important topic. This topic is high blood pressure. I'm sure most of you have heard about it, know someone living with it, because it's a very, very common topic. Another name for this is hypertension. So if you've heard the word hypertension being used, the person using it is simply referring to high blood pressure. So this being a very common topic, it's very important that we are acquainted with it and we know what exactly it is, so that we know how to take care of our relatives with it and even take care of ourselves and also to prevent it. So today we'll be talking about what it is and the risk factors. So I'll explain later what risk factors are. So to begin with, we'll have to understand what blood pressure is. Before we know if it's high or low, we have to understand what it actually is. So blood pressure is the force with which blood passes through your arteries or hits your artery walls when it's coming from the heart. So I've talked about arteries. We know about the blood vessels in our body. So arteries are simply the blood vessels that take blood away from the heart to the other parts of the body, to the rest of the body. And then the other type of blood vessels that we have are the veins. These are the blood vessels that take blood away from your body back to the heart and then to the lungs. So in this case, I'm talking about the arteries, which are the ones that take blood from the heart to the other parts of the body. So we've mentioned that blood pressure is the force with which blood moves through these arteries. So it can either be high or low, but in this case, we're looking at high blood pressure. So before we look at that, I want to just discuss what factors affect blood pressure. So we've got three main factors that affect blood pressure. Our first factor is the cardiac output. So what's cardiac output? This is the amount of blood being pushed from the heart into the arteries. That's the cardiac output, simply put. And then we have blood volume. This is the amount of blood that's moving through your bloodstream. And then our third factor is resistance in the arteries. So I've mentioned three things. These are the factors that affect your blood pressure. So we've mentioned resistance in the arteries, we've mentioned the blood volume, and we've mentioned cardiac output. So any defect or any problem in these three things will cause your blood pressure to either become high or low. So I'll give an example of, let's say maybe resistance is increased. So if resistance in your arteries is increased, this will cause your blood pressure to become high. So we'll discuss how these three factors affect our blood pressure when we start looking at risk factors. For now, you should know that we've got these three factors that affect our blood pressure. So there are two types of high blood pressure. We have primary and secondary. So I'll explain what secondary is and I'll explain what primary is. Secondary high blood pressure, or otherwise known as secondary hypertension, is high blood pressure that's caused by an already existing disease, condition, or even certain drugs. We have certain drugs that have a side effect of increasing your blood pressure. So if you already have an underlying disease or condition that predisposes you or puts you at risk of having high blood pressure, this type of high blood pressure is called secondary high blood pressure. And then we also have primary, which has no known underlying cause. So this one just starts on its own. It has no known already existing. So this is in a person that does not have an already existing condition that predisposes them to high blood pressure. So we've talked about primary and secondary. Now let's look at the risk factors. Before I go into them, I'll explain what a risk factor is. So a risk factor is something that puts you or gives you a higher chance of having a certain disease or condition. But it does not mean that when you have this risk factor, you will definitely get the disease. No. So there are certain things that you could do to avoid or prevent or shorten the time or elongate the time, in which you get this disease, right, or condition. So if you have risk factor, it doesn't mean that you will get the disease. It just means that you can now put in preventative measures to avoid getting this condition. So one risk factor is family history. We have heard people, and even when you go to the clinics, people ask, the doctors will ask you, does anyone in your family have high blood pressure? Yes. So when they ask you that, it's because someone in your family having high blood pressure puts you at an increased chance or risk of having high blood pressure also in your life. Another risk factor is old age. So as people grow older, the chances of getting high blood pressure are increased. And then another risk factor is obesity and a sedentary lifestyle. What do I mean by a sedentary lifestyle? People who do not exercise at all. So you're always seated, you're always lazing around, or you have a job where you're always seated. Make sure you always put exercise into your lifestyle. Another risk factor is increased salt diet. So when we start to talk about the treatment later on, we're going to talk about how you can avoid having hypertension by changing your lifestyle, which are reducing these risk factors that I'm talking about. Another risk factor is a high alcohol intake. Another risk factor could be already existing conditions, which I've already talked about. Examples are diabetes and kidney disease. Another risk factor is smoking. And the last risk factor we'll talk about is race. It has been shown in studies that people of African descent have a higher risk of having hypertension in their life compared to Caucasians. So this has been Health Corner. I'm Dr. Mainga Nalube with Medical Women's Association of Zambia. See you tomorrow.
So there you have it. That was Dr. Mainga Nalube, who was just telling us about high blood pressure. And Alex, what are some of your takeaways from there?
Well, she started off defining the high blood pressure. First of all, the blood pressure, which is actually the flow of blood in the arteries and also the heart system, where we get the high and also the low blood pressure. And she talked of the cardiac output, the resistance in arteries that causes about the high blood pressure. And also she moved on to risk factors, which I just heard of the alcohol intake to be one of the things that can actually, put you at risk in terms of having the, high blood pressure. So moving on, I was just, remembering some funny thing I saw on Facebook where someone was demonstrating how the heart performs. How the heart performs when you are facing certain, challenges there and there. So I was just, when she talked of the heart, really for me, that's what popped up. And I was like, these issues. Anyway, it's a conversation for another day's report. I will be able, if really time allows us, we'll be able to discuss the other part of the heart, which actually does not, exist in the medical fraternity, as it were. But it was quite a profound topic, and we hope our viewers out there have taken note of some of the things that Dr. Nalube was talking about. Moving on to our next segment, which is the money market.
Yes, because just a reminder, our health segment is up for grabs, and so is the money market. So let's just take a look at the money market for today. So we have the United States dollar, which is buying at 16 kwacha 93 ngwe, selling at 17 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Great British Pound, which is buying at 21 kwacha 14 ngwe, selling at 21 kwacha 56 ngwe. The Euro, which is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe, selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The South African rand, which is bang at 1 kwacha 7 ngwe, selling at 1 kwacha and 9 ngwe. That's your money market for today. Alex, your thoughts on the money market?
Indeed, we've seen a bit of stability. I think it should be 2 weeks now.
Yes.
Well, we're having the buying side going at, that's the kwacha dollar exchange rate, going at 16 point some ways, and also the selling part being maintained at 17 point something. So we've seen a bit of the kwacha faring at that rate. Really,
and the prices of commodities actually have reduced.
Like which one, for instance?
Cars, phones. Phones which were buying previously maybe at 6.5, now that they got 5 pin and all that. If you notice around, things have actually significantly reduced.
We should buy one car by the end of this.
One car.
Yeah.
You have noticed that maybe a car was previously at 80,000, now they're going at 70. So there's that on the international market, maybe because you deal with dollars. There's that. But
is it really the same conversation when we get to the commodities such as sugar, cooking oil?
That's what is worrying now, because you find that maybe gadgets and all that, they're getting relatively cheaper from what I've noticed. But then in terms of sugar, cooking oil, the prices are still the same.
It's quite, anyway, it would be relative, like you've put it. But really, us being a community desk, we need to take much interest in those commodities to see how people, the residents, the community members out there are appreciating the prices. If we're going to see the kwacha appreciating, definitely it should be translated to, cheaper commodity prices. So
yes,
as it was.
And so moving on to our next segment, which is zooming the headline. So we've had a series of incidences in Lusaka, out of Lusaka, where the land wrangles. And so now we saw the latest case in Mutendere compound. That's near Mahatma Gandhi School grounds, where the residents there's this place which used to be a garbage heap. Illegal dumping of waste was going on there, but now there a councillor actually mentioned last time in an interview that land has actually been legally given to some people to begin the construction of shops, but you saw that some wrangles emerged in Tendere where some residents were actually accusing the councillor of selling the same land illegally through side deals, but you also saw the councillor actually clearing that. Let's just take a look at that story and be back to discuss more in detail. Land in Zambia is one highly contended natural resource, as various wrangles have emerged from the same. The recent case is that from Lusaka's Mutendere compound near Mahatma Gandhi School grounds, where some residents allege that land adjacent to the school library has illegally been sold by the area councillor and the construction of shops commenced. The residents charged that no one in the area knew that the land on the former illegal garbage heap was available for sale, further charging that the councillor has placed his own people there. Meanwhile, Mutendere Ward 34 Councillor Mr. Boniface Chiveka has dismissed the claims.
I know some of the people are saying that those who are given land adjacent to the library, they should have been given to the local community there. But unfortunately, there's no law which provides that if you live near any land, then which means you are entitled to that land. No. The thing is that, in fact, I'm challenging some of them, because some of the people from that community, in fact, they applied there and they were given. But I'm challenging those who claim that they've been living there time immemorial nearby. How come they are not applying for that land? How come just to take others, and a few of them others from there, they did apply and they were given? So I'm challenging even others in some other areas who live near bare land where they feel it can be developed. Come up with, you can even consult my office so that I can advise on how to apply to Lusaka City Council. What we don't want are illegal plots. What we want is the plots to be given lightly free by Lusaka City Council. We don't want those who obtain land illegally, no. of course, come to my office for advice, or go to Lusaka City Council through the office of the town clerk. People will be advised on how to apply for land. Just watching a land adjacent to you just for years does not make you the owner. No. Kindly learn to apply for land in a normal channel.
He has further advised those with doubts to visit the Lusaka City Council LCC for verification. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. So there you have it. That was some land wrangles there in Tende compound, but actually saw the councillor clarifying on the matter, and so we just hope that they'll reach an amicable conclusion, because we've seen similar issues, especially even in Kalikiliki compound, Alex. Last time we were together in Kalikiliki compound, where similar allegations were made on area councillors. So maybe people really have to be educated on maybe procedures in terms of acquiring land. Can a councillor individually give out land?
Indeed, that's a major question. Even
that's
in
something that, because we've seen that maybe it's because the new councillor, okay, not really new, some of them are not new, but it's a change of administration. There were these suspicions or these things, and the chef or councillors have been accused of such things. So I think people have to be educated. What is the procedure of getting land? Is it possible for a councillor to sell council land? Use in a personal name and all those things. Sorry,
and getting the money after. And someone suggested actually on this same topic where councillors are actually involving themselves in selling of land, that maybe it's a matter of pay, because you might be aware they are on part-time as councillors, and they are getting about 3,000, you understand? So it's a matter of
Alex, that time, without naming the name of the councillor, but the same thing you mentioned, 3,000. I remember there was an issue and the councillor was like, yeah, just get your 3,000.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
People have been talking for reforms actually in terms of salaries for councillors and all those things. Maybe even offices. The other time we saw a story of mini civic centers which have actually stalled. Yeah,
like you mentioned that people actually complaining. It's a matter of, so they give you a part-time job, but the way you do your job, it seems like it's a full-time.
Really
it's people are calling on you, and the community members, they don't see government per se, but they see you as the face for the government. And anything that happens in that community, they call you even at midnight for some cases. There's some issue here, you need to run there and about. But at the end of it, you're getting a 3,000, and could be one of the factors that, in play in terms of what do I do next, at middle of the month, I'm run out of the 3,000, how do I survive, you understand? So it's something that actually can be reformed, as you put it. Just about now moving on to our next segment, where we get to have a first interview, and here we discuss the youth participation in community development with our first guest, who has joined us in the studio, Mr. Nature Takukuya, and is the Industrious Youth Organization Director. We'll just take a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive right into it. Stay tuned.
Are you a married man or woman? Are you encountering challenges in your marriage? Are you planning to take your marriage and love relationship to higher levels? Your business platform is all set for you as a couple. You are invited to attend Zambia's First Love and Marriage plus Business Conference. Amidst uncertainties in the economy, higher divorce rate in the world, plan to be one of the most successful couple in Zambia. Date 28th May 2022. Time from 9 hours to 16 hours. Participation fee 1,200 kwacha per couple. Lunch inclusive. For registration, payment can be done through MTN mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010 for Airtel Money. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International. Speakers, Professor and Mrs. Catherine Munkumba. And your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilo. This is a must-attend conference. Plan and make a date with us. Your lives, marriage and future will never be the same. Remember, we are born for greatness. Book for your seats by calling 0962 965 883. See you on the 28th May 2022.
Your love always brings me back.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying tuned with us. Be reminded that our phone lines are now open to just, but you participating in a conversation of youth participation in community development. We're not just on your screens, but we're also in streaming live on Facebook, Camnet TV, and you'll be able to actually catch us and be able to comment on the comment section. Right about now, we're joined by the Industrious Youth Organization Director, Mr. Nature Ntakakuya. Yeah, pronounce it right.
Sure.
Good morning and welcome to our breakfast show.
Thank you very much, Mr. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm curious, just like any other person maybe who are watching us, Industrious. Why Industrious Youth Organization? Maybe just give us a brief background about your organization as we even discuss the topic for today.
Oh, thank you very much. I should start by acknowledging the fact that you have given this opportunity and the platform. I'm really humbled for that.
Indeed.
And for the organization, we see it's a milestone for us.
Indeed.
To speak to the multitude of people out there. Industrious Youth Series is an organization that was formed in 2019. That's what it was fully registered. Industrious, like from the word itself, it's a concept taken from the Bible where it says an idle mind is a devil's worshipper. So we believe we don't want our mind to be idle. So we have to be industrious, keep yourself active. You have to be innovative. Think of something that people benefit from you as youths of their community. So Industrious Youth scatters people from various specializations. We have got doctors, nurses, musicians, teachers like me, and also have people with skills within our group. So now as a group, our aim is at least to target people who are between the age of 10 and going up, because we understand that the age of 10, that's where someone now starts thinking, they reason from that age, they start reasoning properly and start making decisions on their own. So once we engage these people in our organization, we find that we keep them away from bad vibes, because where we come from basically as an organization is in Kanyama. And when you talk of Kanyama, people have got different perceptions or different views of it. Some of them will say Kanyama and Kujapadoti, Kanyama, that's where there's Chivodia, and Kanyama, that's where Kodimajanki, Fluffies and all that. So we thought we don't want really to keep on with that name in our community. We can put a different name on Kanyama. Not every time they say Kanyama, they think of junkies, no. When they think of Kanyama, at least there are people, industrious youths, who have innovated something good from the bad, which is Kanyama is known of. So that was the main reason why we started the organization.
Okay, how many membership are we talking about here?
We have membership on who are fully registered with us, about 30 plus. Those who are usual members. Then we also have different people just come on board. Maybe we have got activities such as cleaning. They come and help you. Some of them they're just members because they are
all Kanyama based.
Yes, but all Kanyama based.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and thank you for that update. Now we know the kind of a person we're actually talking to as much as youth participation and community development is concerned. Just to set our conversation up front, we'll get into maybe review one story we did where youths are undergoing a certain workshop organized by the AAAZ and testifying how much they're going to participate in the current increased CDF, which actually has made round the mainstream media, and also encouraging youths to take part in this fund. So we'll just take a look at on that story, and when you get back, we'll just dive right into our conversation for today. Stay tuned.
To not just sit and wait for jobs, but also bring forth your ideas and create employment for yourselves. These will only come about from ambition, from your focus, discipline, and hard work by you, the young people of Zambia.
The Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts, Elvis Nkandu, challenging the youths not to be left behind in taking part of the match resources through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. According to the CDF guidelines, 20% of the fund is meant for the women and youth empowerment programs, which comes in form of both grants and loans respectively.
But the Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia has noted the lack of information access by majority of the youth within the country, especially those in the rural areas. AAZ Programs Officer Mark Ngoma notes that regardless of the increase in the CDF, there is need to educate the youth on the access of the fund, thereby serving its purpose of benefiting ordinary citizens. He says this during a workshop held Friday in Lusaka.
Information accessibility on Constituency Development Fund, and the government has the onus of doing this. They need to take a step back. As much as the resources are needed in the community, we need to ensure that they're going to be used prudently so that we can really benefit from what CDF has to offer. Because CDF as it is today, it can really offset a lot of socio-economic woes that many community members are facing today.
Meanwhile, youth from various Lusaka's constituencies have concluded a 2-day workshop by AAZ dubbed Digital Democracy Project. They have since expressed confidence to fully participate in the utilization of the CDF.
We learned a lot of things at this workshop. We've been capacitated with the necessary information that we need as young people to be able to equip ourselves with the knowledge that we need to go out there in terms of the CDF, because we want to believe that there's just CDF in our minds, but we don't know how we can be able to access the CDF. We don't know how it works, but this workshop has given us the information that we needed.
Youth haven't engaged with their civic leaders at the grassroots level, and that is why you find that when decisions are made, we are all in shock. Like, how did this come up? How did that come up? And that bill has already been passed without you knowing things were happening in the background. So I really want to implore the government for taking this as a very serious matter to decentralize this whole process.
Cooperative, you can go through the councils where you apply, give you forms free of charge, forms, and then you get to fill in from there. You get to prepare your business plans, and if the process pull through, you get to be given the money. So it could be a loan, it could be a grant.
The workshop seeks to increase accessibility and availability of information on good governance, active citizenship, and Constituency Development Fund administration. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka. There you have it, youth from AAZ attending a workshop on how best they can participate in the utilization of the CDF. And maybe just starting from that, that angle where we've seen that the coming of the new administration brought in the aspect of increasing the CDF from 1.6 to now the 25.7 million, and 20% of that fund has to be, dedicated to the youth and women tailored programs. And so, how best do we get to, realize the best for the youth in our country, starting from that perspective?
Oh yeah. We should start by saying a youth is someone who's very energetic, very innovative, and by all means, a youth is, we have got majority of people in our community, they are youths. And we should thank the new Dawn government for implementing the CDF in such a way that they have increased it from the last time it was to where it is now. But the fact is that increasing the amount of the CDF is another thing, and implementing it is another thing. Even if they put the new amount to it, but the fact is that how much are they on the ground educating the youth the importance of it? Because it will add no value where they add the money and yet they are not telling the youth how best they can access this money. By the end of the day, it will just end within themselves into the political arena. What do I mean by that? Themselves, they increase that, and don't forget that they have got their people on the ground, which they call cadres and everything. So if they don't reach to anyone who is non-partisan and they tell them how best they can access these funds, by the end of the day, only themselves are going to benefit from this, because it's only them who knows, badi anashita vaso, and then kuri ba chair, and then kuri ba MP, they're all from the UPND for the sake of politics power, they're just from there, that circle. But how are you going to reach to those people who are not politically active? Maybe I would say, if you say politics, others would think, I'm a paya, politics, no, near dirty. But how are you going to make it a fair place for everyone who is not even a non-partisan, so that they can access these things? So now that they have increased the CDF, it's a good thing, and we appreciate that as the youths. It is one way that they are appreciating the youths for voting, maybe in numbers, and also to empower them with a skill and also manpower on their own, because we know that one of the two that can improve the youth, it is money. Money, once it is given to a youth, they are going to use it, maybe probably going to school, maybe getting into a business. But what should be focused on is how we are going to get this money. How is the process to acquire this money? How long is this process? Is it short? Whom are we going to see? So now that the money is here, I understand we have to see our area councillors and our area MPs for more information on how we can acquire this money for the grants and other loans. But now for the youth that it is in our constituency and in our communities, we have to make sure that we identify the problems that we are facing around our communities. Let's say probably we don't have good schools, we don't have roads, we don't have clean water. We can ask for money, then you come up with a tender, you do boreholes in your community, maybe a community to benefit in that angle. There are no schools. You form a company of
maybe before we get into that conversation of you are suggesting things that are seen to be priorities in your community. There is this school of thought on the CDF. What can I approach? Approach to make sure that people benefit. What is called the cooperative formation of cooperatives, and over 10 people should gather and form a cooperative, as it were, and they get access to this funding. But some people feel, why don't we just go individually? You give someone funding to start up a business or something, because they're looking at the forming of cooperatives to be a long process that will maybe benefit, and for you to realize profit that you can share amongst the 10 people that you are, it might take time. Do you share the same sentiment on the approach? Should we go individually, or maybe the approach of cooperative is just okay, considering the time factor as well?
Right now, the way it is, it's okay, because if we go individually, how many are we in the community and how many cater? I understand the idea of coming up with 10. We are trying to cater at what they say to say, if you are many, it's more like you're killing two birds with one stone. So when you are 10 and you are helped at once, meaning you have helped like a group of people. Now let's say you want your own capital, I want my own capital. Probably the money won't be enough to cater for everyone at that particular time. So what is important is at least we should identify the people of the common goal. Let's say I'm a builder, and she's a builder. We come together. Then we suggest one thing which we have got in common. That would be my view. But again, yes, would say it would disturb others, because for us to start generating capital, it will take time, and we have different views and ideas on how we want. Maybe you might be pretending you are with me in this project, but you've got your own agenda. And once the money is in, probably we even trust you. I'm using a drama behind our scenes. We've got different thoughts as people. We are human and we do make mistakes. So by the end of the day, I think the idea of giving a number of 10 and everything, just for a startup, for a boost as it is now, because you can't go individually, it's not enough for everyone.
I get your point.
Sure.
Zipporah.
Yes, and so maybe really looking at organization, Industrious Youth Organization, and you're talking about CDF, to bring about grassroots development, and you know that is it over 50%, about 70% of the Zambian population are youths. Yes. So really, what do youths have to do in the communities to make sure that this development actually comes out? What is their role in the community? For example, what is my role in my community as a youth to make sure that there's community development?
One thing, one of your roles is identification. You have to identify the major problems that you have in your community. And once it is solved, how many people are going to benefit from that? So now, we have got problems that we face as a whole. I'll give an example of Kanyama. I love it very much because so one of the major things there in Kanyama, what we can do is at least go into garbage collection, because people daily they eat, meaning their waste being thrown there. So probably if you engage yourself into waste management, you find that you already have a source where to start from. because and they have already customers there. So for us as industrialists, we thought it is wise to go into waste management because waste is everywhere. And and everyone wishes to throw those bins. But what matters is, do we have the capacity to get that garbage? That's where now probably the CDF and funding comes in. There are people who stay maybe Kuchoma and other places who have got different problems. If you think your problem, your community or your youths maybe have got nothing to do, you can even form a cooperative of farming. Farming is not about maybe maize and everything. You can do piggery, you can do poultry. By the end of 3-4 years, you start bearing fruits. I can encourage to go for piggery because I know a pig in a year, it can give about 3 times birth. You find that giving 5 children from one pig, by the end of the year, you have got more than enough. But what we are lacking is the idea and support from the government. But now that they have increased the funding of the CDF, probably let them also look for something like land, because trying to improve the economy of our country will not depend on hard cash but on land mostly, because land is what we have as a resource as a whole for Zambians. And once we empower a youth with land and we empower them with a skill of farming, by the end of the day we find that we'll stop even buying foods from outside, but we'll be able to supply on our own, and we are going to eliminate poverty at community level if we look at it in those angles.
And you also mentioned about, is it garbage, for example, which is a major problem in your community, but you feel that maybe the youths have enough like machinery to make sure that maybe they not only like pick this waste and sell it, but that they themselves actually engage in recycling, they make dust pans, they make plastic dishes and all that. Do they have enough equipment to do that?
I would say direct to say you don't have enough machinery in those areas, because if we had, probably could have been on an advanced level. So I would say we are lacking mostly with what I may call exposure. These things are coming on board now, and it is to our advantage that we are lucky that today we can even talk of increased CDF in our time, where you can think of positive things like you want to engage yourselves into recycling, like you have said it. So now you find that recycling itself, the machines that will be required, there will be more than the amount which the CDF are offering. So my suggestion maybe be, let them identify the youths maybe you can allow to go into those areas, then they empower them with machinery in those areas, and also with the knowledge, because it will be useless if they give us a machine where we'll be able to make dust pans, then we don't have the knowledge on how to go about it, how to repair it once it is broken. So if the government can empower us with the skills like they have done, I should say this government has opened up like Tiveta. Even if you go to your councillor's office today, you find forms where for those people who want to do skills training in carpentry, in any skill, of surviving skill, they are there offering them at a free charge. Of course, you don't have to pay anything. That is a thing that we are lacking way behind. And today, if the government can put more effort in sensitizing people to say, Kofe Squad to Kurivaso, come and get this, they follow them because they think Kofe Squad actually the same previous place where you used to be, maybe in Kominye, maybe this a place not where to go, because once you go there you become a politician. Let them know the fact to say it is a place where now you get knowledge, or now you can improve yourself. It's a place where you can get funding and you go to school without paying. It's a fact there now. We see that our councillors, they have got forms for people to go to school without on bursaries, but very few people have got knowledge about it. Why? They didn't go to those people to say, they didn't sensitize. In short, they can use the media, people watch television, and then kuma councillors one, they've got this free education going there into their offices. But we literally saw little of that. And that raised a lot of questions to my side, because we expect people to have full information. But if you go in the community, until today, people don't know much about it. Does it mean to say they're still getting the people within their circle? It's a big question that we have now. So to the question, for me, I would say the government has to play a big role of sensitizing before they even implement. Because if they implement, then they sensitize. Time is not balancing up. That's what I would suggest to me.
Yeah, the issue of sensitization actually is something that is coming up from various stakeholders in terms of, I mean, how best can youth participation be achieved if there is lack of information. We had a similar story concerning the people from Luapula province because in the FTJ University, which made run the social media.
Oh, yeah.
Just referring to that aspect, where community members seem to be in the dark as the implementation processes were being taken in their locality. How best can we avoid such, things going forward?
These leaders we put in the offices, our representatives, and they are our workers. I wouldn't say slaves, but they are workers and we are the masters. So I would suggest them, before they are in those offices, they should think of the people first, meaning any step taken by them, they should consult the community. And every activity that is taken in a particular place or community, they should involve the community in what will be happening in that place. So now, the fact that people have got little knowledge on what goes on in their community, if we find that the university, like it was, Yamba, few years it stops, then the money disappears. The money which is supposed to benefit the people, it has gone without benefiting anyone but one person, probably, if I may say. So what I would say is, people, ourselves first, we are ignorant in some things that goes in our area. Probably we even see them, but because of ignorance, we choose not to. I would give you a practical example over the playhouse, which they had put a billboard to say, asking people whether this place should be sold or not. We got it to say they want to sell, but it was technical information asking the public. But because of lack of information, if...
Which playhouse is it?
The playhouse, the one who wanted to play the filling station. Yes.
Oh, filling station.
Yeah. The billboard was there to inform the public and your opinions and suggestions, but because of lack of information, we thought maybe they want to sell it. And probably if we kept quiet, it could have gone on, then we realized, say, we're not good at it. But they had put a billboard to ask for opinions. So probably we are ignorant in some things because we don't feel we are part of them. So as a citizen, we should be concerned of what is happening in our community. Yeah, at a step, and what development do we need? Because like you have given an example of FTJ University, if the people were really interested in it, they could have followed it up, Kutiya party, and why has it stopped? But because they were not interested in it, Boma Inakamba, and they sit down. It was a let down, and they come just to realize after government is out. So which is a big cost to us, that one.
Okay, and how has been maybe the attitude of the youths in terms of embracing maybe various projects? Earlier, I think it was a few months ago, we had some sentiments from the Chinese community saying Zambians are not ambitious. And maybe it could have been due to the lack of funds and all that, because if you look at other countries like China, you find that that place has got many industries and all that. People don't depend on government employment. People like youths really are taking up different ventures. But then for the case of Zambia, we saw them saying Zambians are not ambitious, but maybe it could have been limitations of funds. Now we have these funds. Are we seeing youths embracing this like with passion, coming up with diverse cooperatives, or maybe just the usual ordinary cooperatives? How has been your observation so far, or maybe what changes do we need to make as youths?
That's why I think it will go with my first statement, which I said it's better first they sensitize before they give the funding. But if they fund first, or they do at the same time, few people might have access to information about that. So I would agree with the China statement in sense that we refuse to think on our own. We gave our organization industrious youths because we thought of thinking beyond or outside the box. Which youth would agree to Dutch the garbage vinyalala? It is very embarrassing. Guy Nachibini Chisaka. Very much embarrassing. But once you remove that and say, I have to do this and keep my community clean, I have to do this and keep my pockets with money, you realize to say you are on a safe side, you're being industrious. So when you talk of China itself compared to Zambia, China's got many companies, it is civilized compared to us, and you find that little children, they're making small phones, and here in Zambia, we are using them. And those people, big companies, they are making big phones, and again in Zambia, we are using them. What's the difference? They have promoted their culture to give them a skill. Them, what we say, they're being practicing it.
You just say it.
Yeah, just say it. It's theory. They're practicing it. A little child, as they are growing up, they'll be able to make a big phone. But here we only realize of the youth when it's campaign period, which is so embarrassing. And by the end of the day, I would love to say, Kanyama has got over 50 big companies. Over 50 big companies. When you talk of Trade Kings, when you talk of, what can I say, Trade Kings, Zambif, big companies, Commando, okay, many of them there, but I can guarantee you about 50 of them within the Kanyama constituency. But you find that those companies, they pay a certain amount to the community, which they are mandated to pay. But those money, we don't see them. And those companies, believe me, once our leaders, they sit down to say, we have got these companies, at least we should find a skill, which is common, I would say, football. Let Trade Kings be sponsoring one team in Kanyama. How many people benefit from that? I would say, let people, those companies should make Commando, it's Trade King, but I don't know if it's not Trade King, it's on its own. Let them be sponsoring culture in Kanyama. How many can benefit from that? But you find that our leaders, once they are there, they forget what they can do to the community. We can never even touch CDF in Kanyama. CDF can be a surplus to us from what our companies can be offering. In Kanyama, we have got people who are skillful, who are innovative, but their talents, they are dying each and every day because of lack of support. But we have got companies which can help improve people's lives in Kanyama. But today, we are not utilizing that. Why? I myself blame it to the leadership because probably they do it on their own, not for us. So I feel if the leaders in Kanyama would deliver the best to the youths, let them start from the ground. Before you can even wait for the CDF, let those companies create at least better roads for the people of Kanyama. If they create better roads, at least people be moving with cars, not only cars, we have got cyclists, bike cyclists, they'll be doing skills from there. We have got people who can do skateboards, but in Kanyama, Kuchet, Mamiala, bad roads, where are they going to do it from? Nothing. Let them create a center where youths they'll be meeting and do activities. If a company, 3-4 companies donate money, do you think they can fail to make a creation center for youths? They can't fail to do that. But we don't have leaders at least who can talk to them and they negotiate. They form such things in Kanyama for the youths, and you see Kanyama being a productive community. Sure.
And going forward, really, how does the future look for youths in Zambia? Do we see a productive youth sector, or like what? How does the future look? Do you have hope as industrialists youths with the current situation right now? How is the situation for youth?
We have a future, a better future, and we have I can say the future is bright because the fact that we have got leaders who are thinking for the youths, who are thinking of the youths by increasing the CDF, like we have, it's a one practical example we have. Many youths years from now, they'll be more into it. They will love to participate. They will love to have a skill. Who don't love to go to school when you hear that they're taking to people, to any college where you can do your skills for free? When you realize to say, I've been here, I can be a good bricklayer and have to go to school. They take you to school for free. Who would refuse that? See yourself in the next 5 years, you've got a skill from where you are to be better. So back to your question, in the next 5 years, Zambia will be a best place because we have got what we lacked years back.
Indeed. As you conclude, Mr. Ntakakuya,
sure.
Yeah, we would love to get your last remarks and also appealing to other youths really to take part with much vigor and energy into this community development.
Okay. We should understand youth is a backbone of a nation because the youth, they have got all the strength they need. This youth, they also leave a legacy to the young ones, and we also rely on us, those who are old. So what I would advise my fellow youths is to identify our first weakness and identify our potential in the community. Identify the change that we can put in the community. We also, to say one thing, we should support one another. Once we support one another, we find that our daily activities will be a success. Why? We won't lack other people to support us because we ourselves are first united. As youths, we should unite. As youths, we should have passion for our community before we even think of the country, because we can't talk of the country without the community. It starts there at our community level. Let ourselves Me and as nature work on my own first before I even think of the community. When I work on my own, I work for the community. I work for the nation. So my appeal to my fellow youths out there: let's work hand in hand. Let us go for this CDF that has been increased. Let us propose ideas that will see our country, that will see our community benefit, not as me as nature, no, but as a community as well, not at an individual level.
Thank you, Mr. Nature. Mr. Nature Takakuya is actually the Industrious Youth Organization Director who came through to discuss the youth participation in community development on our platform. And thank you for coming through. We appreciate you will be able to call back if time allows.
Sure.
Yes, definitely. And I'm sure that has been very insightful, and I'm sure I'll be calling on you when we have got Youth Matters. And this just reminds me, our discussion actually reminds me of something I was watching yesterday, Alex, whereby if you want to make money, stop looking for money. Look for problems and find solutions to those problems. So really, that's something that our youths have to do instead of just being a guy in society. Go and start a toilet cleaning, cleaning services, go and pick garbage, and all these things, as long as you can make money. Really. So I will just take a short break and be joined by Mr. Labdemwene, who is the Secretary General for the Tuafane Child Protection and Rehabilitation, to help us discuss whether streetism can be phased out in Zambia. So let's take a short break.
Are you a married man or woman? Are you encountering challenges in your marriage? Are you planning to take your marriage and love relationship to higher levels? Your business platform is all set for you as a couple. You are invited to attend Zambia's First Love and Marriage plus Business Conference. Amidst uncertainties in the economy, higher divorce rate in the world, plan to be one of the most successful couple in Zambia. Date 28th May 2022. Time from 9 hours to 16 hours. Participation fee 1,200 kwacha per couple. Lunch inclusive. For registration, payment can be done through MTN mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010 for Airtel Money. Venue: The Healing Word Ministries International. Speakers: Professor and Mrs. Catherine Munkumba. And your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilunga. This is a must-attend conference. Plan and make a date with us. Your lives, marriage, and future will never be the same. Remember, we are born for greatness. Book for your seats by calling 0962 965 883. See you on the 28th May 2022.
Your love always brings me back.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back to our breakfast show. Now we get to another segment where we'll be discussing And questioning really, can streetism be phased out completely in Zambia? A conversation that has actually persisted for quite some time, years, and governments have come and they've gone, really leaving this challenge on the streets. And when you talk of streetism, we're basically talking of the street kids and also adults who are roaming the streets across the country. And just maybe to introduce our guest for today, and also just to maybe learn a bit of the organization, Mr. Lavdemoine. Good morning.
Good morning, Alexa.
I'm all right, thank you. So Mr. Lavdemoine is actually the 12th one Child Protection and Rehabilitation Secretary General. And before we just get to discuss the topic of today, maybe let's talk about your organization, maybe just a brief background of why you actually embarked on this kind of an organization.
Thank you very much. Actually, the organization started in 2020 on the onset of COVID, because then institutions were closed, and for that reason, the founders of the organization found them so that they were doing nothing at the time. So they looked at their life. So actually, it started when one of the two who are the co-founders of the organization remembered of how he spent 7 years in the street. So that was the onset. After looking at life in the street, remembering the ordeals of the street, that's how the organization was started. The idea was shared with the members who are currently members now, and they volunteered to form up an organization. It was duly registered in 2021 with the NGO under Minister of Community Development. What really the organization is up to is to help the child out of the street. That is our vision, and also to reunite broken homes, because the problem of streetism does not start from the street. It starts from homes where these children are born. So from where the children are born from and where they're coming from, that's where the problem is. So the organization is there not only to look at those that are already in the street, even those that are still in homes.
Beautiful. Thank you for that really background. And we hope you'll be actually joining us wherever you are catching us from both our screens and also on Facebook, where we're streaming live. You'll be able to comment and give your contribution on this particular topic. Well, we question, could streetism be phased out completely in Zambia? And I'm sure by the end of this program, we'll be able to answer that question with the help that you're going to render at this particular program. So we just get a little bit of maybe a turn to this conversation with help of the stories that we compiled earlier in this month of May, where we talk of streetism and other issues that are pertaining to this topic. Let's just take a look and we'll be right back.
Successive governments in Zambia have tried to solve the old age problem of streetism, but to no avail, as street children, commonly referred to as street kids, end up back on the streets due to various reasons. It is estimated by data from the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services that Zambia has an approximate number of 10,000 children living on the streets. These children are exposed to various risks, among them HIV/AIDS and early marriages, among others. The Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, however, says it plans to remove these children off the streets permanently as soon as it identifies what each of them needs so that they can be demarcated in various groups. Minister of Community Development and Social Services Doreen Mwamba was speaking when she paid a spot check in Lusaka City in various areas where these children are found in order to assess their needs. She notes that while those willing to go back to school will be helped to return, others will be assisted to acquire skills and start up businesses. The minister further says those with families will be taken back and their families assisted with social protection to support them.
So that walaikala bwino balesunga bwino amafamilies that tulefoyo omuntu oli wonse okulalala mumusewo tatulefwaya batatulefoya kumupatikisha tufire twayisa twamukisa educate twamupera counseling bamupima bamutwala ku masikulu yokonse ko mulefwaya onse the young girls balafuma pa streets abakweta amafumo balapa pafye bwino tubapera na protection akulasunga abana munshi tabakonkanya ama studies yabo imiti ikula empanga.
Some of the children spoken to have welcomed the move.
Street na kalamu for 7 years. Peneze na 7 years nizopezeka mtao nizo boti bila. Yaliko sopia pa chauffeur. So training afuneko che government antandi zako kanodera ko business. Training ambo budi sabo taxi na kusinga. Nisino kuleta proceeding.
Okay, mention ngeza makamaka kuti ube street ni
mu street actually kuwerekeza vutana na asitemata bana.
Among the many reasons that lead to children taking to the streets are high poverty levels, child abuse, and broken family bonds, among others. Many of the children on the streets end up pregnant mostly at a young age, hence increasing the number of street kids. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Data from the Zambia Statistics Agency ZamStats estimates that the country has over 50,000 street children locally referred to as street kids. Due to their vulnerability, this group of people have no access to basic human rights like education, food, and sanitation, among others. While there are different reasons that lead to these children ending up on the streets, stakeholders agree that they should not continue to live under these conditions. Various programs, such as recruitment into the Zambia National Service, have been put up, but many argue that this has not been as helpful as those not selected for employment often return to the streets.
Twali kusedeni Yesu mumuli mwana waza kusedeni Yesu kuchuoko fatwali yako bachifu abana Yesu balingira obusoja batwayingira reason why batwali yapo kusedeni Yesu na nomba po bagayi baisa basenda baliya bachina vote for nkuba kwa mashirikali na beno fubaba.
Twafwane Child Protection and Rehabilitation Public Relations Officer Mr. Dennis Yakapwale says with the introduction of the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, there is need for government to set up diverse skill centers specifically meant for the street kids.
Street kids on the road there, they need help in terms of, first of all, they must be identified as Zambians. They need NRCs. They need schools. They need skills. They need food. They need someone who can love them. And if there is no one to provide for them, then it will not be easy for them.
Meanwhile, Organization Secretary General Mr. Lovedale Mwene has raised concern about the education status of many street kids, stating that their future is dim due to this.
That means this year we are targeting about 10,000 children who are not going to school. This includes from grade 1 up to grade 11. So we're going to make sure that we do our best and we have to meet, if possible, even more than 10,000 children have to go back to school. So we can call out from our well-wishers who wish to come on board and join us in this struggle for the well-being of the street kid to come and join us.
Speaking over the same matter, Organization Vice Coordinator Ms. Catherine Lumbe is concerned about the welfare of street kids amidst the rising cases of the coronavirus.
We don't know how the government is considering the street kids. You know what it takes when a child is on a street or someone is on a street. It is not easy to access certain things that they are required for. So when looking at this situation of COVID and the vaccination, so we don't know if the government has yet come up with a strategy of meeting the children on the street so that they also have access to COVID vaccination.
They have called for collaborated efforts in addressing the plight of street kids, calling on the church to step up and play a major role in helping this vulnerable population. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it, and welcome to our breakfast show. Now we continue in our conversation for today, where we discuss could okay institutism be phased out in Zambia? And you're joined by Mr. Loveday Mwene, who's going to help us with that topic in particular. Mr. Mwene, so maybe to just set the conversation as it were, you know, we've had a lot of conversation around this topic, you know, last time, like the person was saying, referring to ZNS being a form of, you know, a way of actually curbing this vice. But then we've seen other people going back to the streets. At which point do we see, you know, achieving the free, you know, streetism-free country in Zambia?
Thank you very much, Alex. The problem with streetism, if you look at the number of organizations that are working for the same problem for a long time, actually. That's why Twafane is there, it's a movement. So what we have as Twafane in mind is that the issue of ZNS alone cannot do away with streetism. Because if you look at the children that are in the street, actually can be divided into 3 ages. We have that of below 10 years. Then within that, which is below 10 years, we have children that are born in the street. Then we have the youths, that is above 10 to 18 years. Then also have adults that are living there. Now, if you look at the ZNS approach, it cannot deal with somebody who's below 10 years. Then are they also considering adults? There are families that have come up, that have set up families in the street. So if we talk about ZNS, the only way that can work, especially with the mushrooming, if you look at the number of street children now, or the children in the street, actually people are saying it's a time bomb, but believe you me, it's already booming, it's ready to explode. Because look at if I remember very years ago in Kenya, people were even afraid to eat from the street, to buy from ShopRite. I'm seeing this coming into Zambia if nothing is done. You find that even your children, you are well to do, you know that your children are in homes, but the time will come when your children will be afraid of going to school because they're afraid of the street children. This has already started in some compounds.
Is it because of, are they violent or what do they do?
Actually, what is this, that those children are hungry. They have nothing to do at the time. So if somebody is hungry, you know what a person can do? Is stranded actually, can do anything. Those children can do anything just to have something to eat. So if your children are going to school, these children, even yourself, you'll be afraid, you'll be hijacked even in restaurant. You'll be afraid to eat from towns. Why? Because it's already booming up. So the issue of ZNS cannot do it alone because of the categories. Now, why can't the government, what Twafane is looking at, we are looking at a way that we're going to have a land. Let me give an example of ZNS camps. You find that they are given a big land which is secured. Then everything is there. There may be clinics, there may be schools within that camp. Why can't we, as a government, come up on board with stakeholders like Twafane who's planning? We are going to set up a big camp for these children where we'll take everybody and secure that same place, just like in other camps. ZNS or army camp where it's secured so that no one can except from there. These children, there are those that can be taken lightly. From what I've seen from the minister saying, you're asking children what they want. Yes, they'll tell what they want, but believe you me, the first thing that is needed is to change their mentality. One example that I like giving people is that, do you know why God gave the commandment, Alex, to the children of Israel, not in Egypt, but he has to remove them from Egypt? Do you know why? When they were in Egypt, they had the mentality of Egyptians. So God has to remove the children of Israel from Egypt. When he removed them from Egypt, that's when he had to give them the commandments, so that the commandments can remove Egypt out of them. So these children tell you to say, okay, they are ready to go to school, but have you removed the mentality of streetism from their mind? So removing them from the street is not easy, but removing the street is what is difficult.
Is it possible to remove that mentality?
It is.
How?
There are people like what has been mentioned to say ZNS has done it before. Do you know why ZNS is managing? Because when they are taken there, it's adults. Those are above 10 years. They are youths actually. So the treatment or the care that they are given is some kind of military care that are given there. So that is the only way that you can remove the mentality of that. So as Twafwane, once we set up this camp, we are going to engage ex-servicemen. We have a number of ZNS people that have skills, that have a lot of skills that they acquired in ZNS. Not only ZNS, we have also other ex-men. Army were there that they can bring their skills into safeguarding these children. So once that is done, then we will not talk to them. We will use a system of capture, just capture them, pack them in a camp where there is no escape, and we work on removing the mind of a street in the child.
Okay, are you then saying what government in the community, through the community development, are doing is not really what's needed to be done at the point?
I don't know which perspective or which angle are they looking at it. Because from what I've seen, when you go to somebody and say, what do you want to do? No, I want to start business. Then you give somebody money. I don't see, even last time I was here, I mentioned the issue of youth empowerment. Or you just wake up in the morning, you give somebody money who don't even have a business plan. By the time, that same money that they are given in support will be the one that will be providing. By the time the business plan is developed, is ready, money is gone. So that is what will be happening even when this issue of giving them capital, to say, what do you want to do? Because those people have leaders that are looking after them in the street. They are the people that are sending them to do all those bad acts just to acquire some payments for their bosses so that they live free in the street. So that issue of giving them capital, giving them money, let them try, then we'll see where to lead them. But the fact is that it's a no-go area.
It may not work.
It may, actually it can't.
So maybe for the view that maybe they should first undergo rehab before they can actually take them to school. But we have those rehab centers. Are they, can they cater for everyone? Maybe are they specialized in maybe streetism, or maybe it's just maybe drug and alcohol abuse? Do we have those ones?
So the way that can work, you have to identify the categories. You start with those that are below 10 years. Those are easily rehabilitated. It's very easy to handle, even to reunite them back to their families. It's very easy. They can easily go back and they be accepted by their families once the counseling that Twafwane is doing so far is workable. Then those that are above 10 years, they really need to go a serious rehabilitation center. Then looking at the problem that we have in Zambia, we have a lot of NGOs working for the same. Then these
work together.
We did at some point, we do at some point. I think the government who called for the National Symposium at Mulungushi International Conference Center recently, where more than 100 NGOs working for the benefit of the child in the street were called and we discussed. Now, that was just on wait. We are still waiting to see how it will be implemented. But once the government can manage to bring all the organizations together, to work together, then we can find a tangible solution. So as Twafwane, what we are looking at, we're just, once we acquire this land, we develop it, you see it working. So as NGOs, we are selfish. We know that we are learning for the same donors, UNICEF and others. Even the government is the major stakeholder in this case. So everyone is learning to it, but we cannot unite. It's as if we are fighting for personal gain at some point as organizations. So once we remove that mentality, then we work together as organizations. We set up a press. I was talking to like Kiva, Kids Voice of Africa, director listen program, say, why can't we work together as an organization so that we see which category, which age group can you handle, which age group can Twafwane handle, which age group can village whatever can handle it. That way we can do it. But if each one is looking for the bigger picture of streetism, that one will be difficult even for a time being. But that's why Twafwane is there as a movement.
Okay, well, let's just take a look at another story which we compiled somewhere in October last year, and we'll be able to actually get more context to our conversation. You can join us using the phone lines which are scrolling on the screens, and also do comment on our social media handles, and that's Facebook, Camnet TV, and you'll be able to review your comments. Stay tuned as we review this story.
This is the famous flyover bridge next to Lusaka's main post office, known as a hub for criminal activities at any given time due to the habitation of street kids who have made family in all sense, as childbearing amongst themselves is a normal thing. Kids grow up and marry themselves. Children are also born there, but what could be the lasting solution to this? Should society condemn this population for good or not? What is clear is that children who sometimes grow into adults leave their homes for various reasons, among them child abuse and failure by parents to take care of their children who seek solace in their colleagues on the streets. Camnet TV spoke to some children who seem abreast with the harsh realities of being in the streets and are now eager to get back home at the earliest opportunity.
But school varentwara nomba mkuru wantatware mfana na yena nomba yena vamami varisa fumapo ndeya kuskuru ene mpia rerida resa mkuvepesha mwene fena ene fena mfuire chifukushina ene fena sendre mone mpia na ene efe vashide mkunguma ene nangwa sende mpia ene tabari mumare vepesha mwene fena butwikire na panganda na pumine kushingora nomba banandi afuna basangene chipapepa sika sabuna abo nyapache mustiriti afuna ere nambo kwekara funa shite za kilti na lakmana babuluru bande sabuna se umwana otombo
traffic post mnamentwala kashitwala mampost muda bambalo mfempepo bambi because still tetwe bovi stika yatona ora manankani amaliva namarangi yaba kwatini fwa batfwaka mabuchapa stika mwamunaga so tevati warandika ma president atwafwe ko fotwe bayiche nabakulu abakulu bayisha kutwa business fwe batukeka percent.
An earnest appeal has also been made by one of them who has survived the streets in a layman's language can be called a street man.
Awe bambi ama step maza bali bipo muchimana ba step faza imitaba mfwayo umwana belefu umwana uri wakwe edisoni basangula mu street belefula bambi beletole fikopo fire bambi bala basenda bene kubana amatire lomba babatangise kokuluba ba president besu na ufyaira muna abana upira muno kupira mu na upira muno kupira mu bachi yote ndelo mbe chikankala telefone bakateka batu afurishye ko pabana abatufyere yako before na bakateka abene tabalaisa to ali kusedeni yesu mumuli mwana waza kusedeni yesu kuchuoko fatwali yako bachi fu abana yesu balingira obusoja batwaingira reason why batwali yapo kusedeni yesu na nomba po bagayi baisa basenda baliya but na vote for nkuba kwa mashirikali na beno fu baba.
Meanwhile, Home of Joy Foundation, who went to sensitize the youths, says the struggle of reforming children on the street requires concerted efforts both from government and individual level.
Home of Joy Foundation is planned to build an orphanage center to provide shelter for the homeless children with a goal to keep them out of harm's way and away from the streets, of course, by the help of well-wishers. The center, with the help of partners, will offer protection, care and security to provide basic needs such as food, clean water, clothes and shelter for the children. Besides, the center will offer emotional and psychological interventions to improve the mental health and well-being of the vulnerable children by offering education, counseling and life guidance skills that will help the children grow into productive members of the society who will make positive contributions to the community.
However, despite all these challenges, the youths amongst themselves use music to speak their mind, and this reporter was treated to some weekend vibe. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Quite interesting story over there. Apparently, they even talented people who are actually living in the streets. Why can't we take advantage of this, Mr. Mwene?
Actually, it's possible, but they have talent, they have skills, because they are part of Zambians. So they are living in Zambia, they see what is happening in the street. Actually, there's a lot that happens in the street. It's not only singing, some can even, they are poets.
Maybe aside from the ZNS, we can go, you know, talent approach, where we identify who can do what, and you'll be giving them platforms to actually train them and also perform.
That can be done. The only problem is where they are. So the problem is where these children are. If we work on removing them from where they are, and if you look at if there's a person that you have really to understand is a person that have stayed away from home for some time, found among they have been addicted by drugs, where they use a lot of that is their survival. Those bottles they move with, that is their life. You take that away just abruptly, it will be a problem. Some may even die. So even when removing those things from them, as Twafane or any other organization that is out there to help out the child in the street, you have to really be careful on how you...
It's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's not as easy as you see it. For those that we have already taken back to their families and others, actually it's a process. Some even up to now, from December up to now, they are still taking that. But they are being controlled up to the time that they will even give up.
And are those adult people actually staying, even, some are married? How best can you help such a person?
Now, if you look at those that have families there, they come from homes, they come from these compounds. And if you look at from the research that we had in December, actually we discovered that these children can be put into two groups. There are those that are full-time street kids. Those don't have where to go. They spend their day, that is their life. Then 60% of them come from homes. These are homes that are broken. So from home, they come up early in the morning in the street, late in the evening, they go back to their families. Now, these are families which are broken actually, because, and if not broken, all the parents are drunkards. They don't even care which child is not home, which child is here, which child is not there. So those are the major issues that are causing that. Then the other problem that we have is that some children will be sent to be selling. If you look at from the report that we had, where a child is saying he was being left home because of the problem that was being accused of, that is giving money to somebody, is failing this and that. Now, that is true, because if you look at what causes a child to leave home, one of those things is poverty. Okay? Poverty is also another problem that we have to look at. If you look at the major sources of these street children is shati compounds. We talk of Chiboria, we talk of Kanyama, Chaise, and Chaume and Matero. That's where most of this comes from. Early in the morning, they wake up, parents don't even care what the children have eaten, whatever. They are sent to sell something in town, water and other things. So what will happen when even a coin gets missing? The child will be afraid to go home. He'll find shelter within the street, and in 2-3 days, the parents forget of that. So if you have a child that you are looking for out there, parents, contact Twafane and will help you to locate your children, because we know we've made friends with those children actually, and they trust us. We've gained their trust. We even have days that we visit them for not only on official visits, even individual members of Twafane have made friends in the street. They visit them time after time. So if once we control the issue of problems, the poverty that is at home, then the number of children in the street will be minimal. Now, if you look at the 60%, those that lives home, as Twafane also it that it's not good that we are taking those out of the street to their homes or to their rehabilitation centers and to ZNS and others, when actually a bigger number is moving into the street again. So the first thing that we have to do is to work on the problem. Where are these children coming from? They are coming from families. These are families whose love, I don't know where it escaped from, where couples no longer care for each other, fights everywhere, GBV cases and early marriages. These have also resulted into street children prostitutions in these compounds. So once we work on the problem, we work on the families that these children are coming from. They have their life better, they're empowered with the onset of CDF, though there are issues where CDF is concerned. So with the onset of CDF, I don't know what the government can move in and help these families so that at least the issue of children leaving homes can be kept. So once we solve the problem from there, it will be easy to take those. That's why ZDS has been failing. They've been taking people to camps, rehabilitation centers, but still the number keeps on increasing. That is the problem. They don't look at where are these children coming from. So they have to close where they are coming from, then work on these that are already there. The problem will be solved.
So talking of CDF, are we seeing street kids being mentioned, or maybe is it just an appeal that they should also be included? Have we seen them actually being mentioned, saying these street kids in various constituencies will actually benefit from this fund? Have we seen that happen?
From the arrangement of the government, is that 20% of that CDF is for youths and women. For male, then 80% is for who? So for male, think that it was supposed to be the other way around. Women and youths, 80%. Then others, 20%. Because these are men that already set up. There are people that are already working and you are giving them 80% for it. I don't know. I'm trying to...
Have you seen any street kids forming cooperatives? So if they are, is there anyone to help them even form cooperatives, write business proposals? Have we seen that?
Do they have that capacity to do that?
As NGOs, have you been maybe working with other NGOs to help them form these cooperatives?
For now, there's no NGO that have come up with that. Because the problem is that how do you engage the child who's already collapsed? So the first thing is to work on the child. So the government, I don't know which angle are they looking at. Actually, they were supposed just to empower to allocate funds from CDF for organizations that are helping the child in the street. That way the child will be involved. But directly engaging the child in the street for CDF, that one cannot work.
Is it impossible to phase out streetism?
It is possible. There are countries that have done that. In Kenya, as we speak now...
In Kenya, there are no street kids.
As we speak now, there is less than 0.5% of children in the street. Last time I visited Kenya in 2012, that was the problem they were talking about on a research pre. Because I am proud to say I'm from the street. I spent 7 years in the street, 3 years in Kavu, 4 years in Osaka.
Wow,
so,
7 years?
Yes. So I know what happens in the street, and it's possible. If people who've been in the street, it's not only in Tuafoni we have about 5 former street children that are there. 2 are pastors now as we speak. So wow. This issue of children in the street needs people with a heart.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have a heart for the child, this problem. And the other issue, we are engaging wrong people. That's why we'll be talking of street children, because the people that are engaged are wrong people. Frequently, most of these organizations that are working for the child in the street, they are the other side of the railway. They can't cross the other side. Why? They are afraid. So the people that understand the problem that are going on are people that come from the same pot. They understand how hot the water is. But if you are from the other side, you can't know. There will be just issues. Let me not mention the name of one of the children in the street whose father actually is one of the officers in the Zambia police. Now, how does a child leave such a premises? And recently was taken to, Mansa, to his young brother who's also in Zambia police. Maybe that side he will be able to rehabilitate himself. But instead, he took off with 4,000 kwacha from the same home and back into the street. So that problem cannot be solved by individuals, but the people that understand that have a heart for the child. And it's possible actually. It can be done collectively with the government is a major stakeholder, and also they have to engage the right people in the right direction and at the right time. Like Tuafani, they have a big picture. We were going to set up a camp, and those children, you'll see them in our camp very soon.
Let's talk about the role the foster homes play in actually reducing the number of street children on the street. For instance, some people may be offering to adopt these children. How possible can that approach be?
Those that are below 10 years, they can be, is possible through the right channel. The Minister of Community Development is there, social welfare, officers are there. It can be done. And now, the question that still remains that if you get somebody who's already spoiled, there are 2 things involved. It's good that I'm not talking about how I changed myself. Actually, it's just now that people are gaining care of themselves. But because those days what used to happen is that you get somebody from the street one day is alone at home, go and invite the entire army in the street and they will clean up your house. That was what was happening. So
they'll clean up your house.
And people are scared because I remember that time you were mentioning saying people.
By cleaning up, you mean sweeping the house in a good way, or
they clean
your property?
They steal.
Exactly. So they get everything. You don't underrate them. Don't look at their age. They've been trained into some criminal minds. They're already criminal. They are there. So as you are trying to don't just go in the street. You see this is a child. You pick from there and say, "Oh, I have a child."
Or adopt.
You will regret.
He's adorable.
You will regret at some point. So don't even try that, because when they wake up, actually,
they need rehab first.
They need to be made into normal human beings. For now, regardless of the age, they are not really normal human beings.
And I'm interested, you mentioned that Kenya has faced that. What do you think Kenya did different from Zambia? Maybe some things we should emulate from Kenya.
They work collectively. NGO work collectively. They have a good system, which we tried to produce at the National Symposium, which we had recently, whereby organizations have shared responsibilities. There are some who are just researching on the well-being of a child in the street. Then there are those that are referring to other organizations according to ages. So each organization knows the responsibilities and the age group they have to do for the child. But here in Zambia, actually, it's everything. Everyone has to be involved. So long you're in the street, you don't even care. This is an adult, this is a family man in the street, this is a child. We don't have that. So once we set up the issue of having this system of working as collectively as organizations, we share responsibilities, then the issue of streetism, it will be done.
Yes, definitely. And so really there are issues that maybe are we not going to be going in a cycle where we remove some keep coming back? What can we do to prevent new street kids?
That is what Twafwane is all about. The past 2 years, we've been working in families, uniting families. So the other thing that I have to mention here, Separa, is that Twafwane is still in negotiation with the local courts on issues of divorce. We want to be engaged before the court give a verdict of a marriage to end. We want Twafwane to be involved so that we counsel the parties involved and see if it is really there is need for divorce. Because what is happening nowadays, it's like the judge is not married, is maybe divorced. So
given maybe high number, like so if you maybe children from divorced couples, and maybe are they more likely to end up in the streets in comparison?
Actually, that's the high number that we have, or from divorced. And if you look at the divorce rate in Zambia, it's just deteriorating. It's something that is very bad. So you discover that if the court now finds a way of minimizing, once we get involved in Twafwane, believe you me, the number of divorces that will be recorded in Zambia will be very low. That means if a divorce occurs, who suffers? The child. GBV cases, who suffers? The child. That's why they're running away from homes. Early marriages, child, early pregnancy. And the other thing is poor family planning. I don't know if it's the knowledge. We are working on it as Twafwane, still doing the research to find out, because find that somebody who can be able to support 10 children will end up having 1 or 2 to the maximum 3. The person that even having 1 child will be a problem. There are people that are ending up having 10, 9, 7 children. And what happens after one of them dies? And recently we had a story where a man ran out from his wife at UTH. He was expecting that the wife was carrying 1 child. Want to discover they are twins. What did he do? He disappeared, leaving the child, the mother, the wife at UTH maternity wing. So those are cases that we're looking at when it comes to family planning issues. And the poverty, divorce, GBV cases, the child is really suffering.
Well, there you have it. And we're just inviting you to make comments on this particular topic where we discuss, can streetism be phased out completely in Zambia? And we're having in the studio Mr. Love Demwene, who's helping us discuss that particular topic. We just take a short break and we'll get back. We'll get to our concluding remarks of our show. Stay tuned.
Are you a married man or woman? Are you encountering challenges in your marriage? Are you planning to take your marriage and love relationship to higher levels? Your business platform is all set for you as a couple. You are invited to attend Zambia's First Love and Marriage plus Business Conference. Amid its uncertainties in the economy, higher divorce rate in the world, plan to be one of the most successful couple in Zambia. Date 28th May 2022. Time from 9 hours to 16 hours. Participation fee 1,200 kwacha per couple, lunch inclusive. For registration, payment can be done through MTN mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010 for Airtel Money. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International. Speakers, Professor and Mrs. Catherine Munkumba. And your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilu. This is a must-attend conference. Plan and make a date with us. Your lives, marriage and future will never be the same. Remember, we are born for greatness. Book for your seats by calling 0962 965 883. See you on the 28th May 2022.
Your love always brings me back.
So welcome back to the show, and just a reminder that now we officially open our phone lines, although we're going towards the end of the program. But anyway, so Mr. Mwene, being as we're about to conclude, can you just give us maybe your personal experience, because I'm sure viewers out there are interested, given that you are someone who's experienced firsthand living in the streets. So how did you get to be on the streets, and how did you really get back into society? What really happened? What was the experience out there?
Thank you, Zepola. Actually, I left the street in 2004, so I'm 16 years out of the street. Now, the issue is that the major issue that there's a lot that goes on in the street. You can't love your child being outside there. You can't even like it. No one will even wake up one morning and wish for their children to be in the street. I personally spent 7 years in the street. And the one fun thing is that the way I moved out of the street, we had the bosses there. We called them bosses there. Then once you get in the street, you'll be given a new name, which no one will even know from. Even if they are looking for you, they won't even be able to track you down. So I started from Kawe 3 years there, then I moved to Lusaka. Then what we used to do those days is that you be sent in the compounds, in the markets, to go and make friends with people that are coming from homes. So once you make friends with them, you make sure that one day they invite you to their place. And as you're praying with them, you just make sure that your friends are just too close, so that at one point, once it's open, you invite your friends, you carry everything that is carried from those homes. So there was this 2 boys that I was taught to befriend. They were coming from Buffalo Village, McKinney area there. So it's Nick, Choma, and George. After I befriended them, they enjoyed watching videos. Those days we had videos. So from there, that's where we were meeting from, somewhere in Kanyama, Mobile Market, where they sell a lot of fish. So that was my target. So when we gained that friendship, I could visit them every week. On Sunday, I would make sure that they are there. Not knowing where they were coming from. So one day, I told them that I had nowhere to spend my night. So they encouraged me to say, let's go. That's when I discovered that actually they were just staying with their uncle. who was working in one of the homes that side. So that day they invited me, but when I reached at that home, the care that I received from that man didn't even look at how I appeared, how I was, just gave me a hot bath, told me to do with that bottle I had. I could hide it secretly. Time and again, I will sneak out to go and...
How many days did you spend that?
That was the first day.
The first day.
Then to my supper, that was Sunday. Every Monday, he asked me to spend the night there after giving a hot bath. Actually, I enjoyed the care and the love that he gave me. Then early in the morning, he left for work, took his 2 boys to school, and left lunch for me. So when you're hungry, this is your food. Now, just from the love that I received that day, actually I realized that he was a good man that did not need to be his things stolen with my friends. So since it was far from Kanyam where I left my friends, for me to move back to go and tell them, say, Chaope now, it was a long distance. So I decided to say, if there are people that can show love to somebody like this, let's see where the world is taking me to. So the following Monday came by, they knocked off from school, they found me at home. Everything was normal. I felt at home after 7 years. So he tried to find out, of course, all the stories I told him at first sight was all lies. Then he discovered, I don't know how he discovered that I was lying to him. Then he just continued showering me with love. After a week, he enrolled me to one of the schools. Okay, so a private school in that matter. He paid for my fees and everything. Then what else do I need? But my friends were furious and were still looking for me. Then after 2 months, I started visiting them. Even now, I still have a few friends that are still there. They're adults now, though they've been trying to doing a few things. But at least of all that I remember, those friends of mine now are trying their best. And that's why we came up with this organization. Then we know what it means to be in the street.
Indeed, it takes really passion.
It's really touching.
Yeah. And the only thing that can, moving up with a paper, what do you want to do?
For you, it's not.
Actually, it's mockery. For me, it's mockery. Actually, it's mocking me.
Well, we will get to hear your last remarks, Mr. Mwene, given that you've showed and even elaborated, demonstrated how possible it is for someone to actually get out of the streets. Your last remarks for both maybe government and those who may be watching from those who've had people in the streets.
The only thing that you can do for the child is to show love, get consent. Then from the government, let them work with organizations that are really serious. Because some are just there, they don't even have the passion for the child. So for you who are saying you are working for the child, you really need to have a heart for the child. You have to understand what it means to be outside, away from home. So that is why Twafana is there. It's a movement. We want everybody to be involved, everyone to be a member of Twafana. So we've already started. We have an office in Mumba, we have an office in, as far as Ruapula, we also have an office in Choma. So Twafana is a movement. We are going to work hand in hand with the government of the day through the Ministry of Community Development. This issue of asking children what to do is a no-go area. That one actually don't even try it. Empowering somebody who's already spoiled, somebody who's away from home. So the first thing that they need is rehabilitation. And it's possible once we work collectively as a government. The only problem is that Twafana is facing now is just the issue of finances. Being the young organization on the move is the matter of finances. So if outside there, there's somebody who have the heart for the child, don't feel shy. Just approach our offices. We are ready to work together with you outside there for the well-being of a child. And it's possible actually, by 2030, you will see what Twafana will be able to do for the child.
That is Mr. Love Demoine, who's actually Twafana Child Protection and Rehabilitation Secretary General, giving us profound information on streetism in Zambia. There you have it, and Zipporah, maybe we can just close for us.
It's actually too touching. I'm feeling some type of way. Yeah, it's very, very touching.
It is.
It gives hope, and actually shows you that the people out there who are kind, if you look at today's economy, people give all sorts of excuses and all that and that. But that's really something that is really hopeful. So that was a very, very touching segment. We were just discussing streetism in Zambia, and earlier on in the interview we were discussing youth participation in community development with Mr. Nechan Takakuya, who was actually calling on youth to think out of the box and make sure that they engage in all sorts of activities apart from the ordinary things like chicken rearing and all those things. So it has been a very, very interesting segment. So do join Alex Shimba and I tomorrow from 7 to 9 hours, but from us it's good morning.